The silent emergence. The crystalline halls of Kepler Station had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 47 different species filled the emergency assembly chamber, their varied forms creating a symphony of alien voices, clicks, whistles, and harmonic resonances that the universal translators struggled to process simultaneously. At the center of it all stood Admiral Keth Var, his scaled reptilian features betraying none of the growing concern that gripped his military mind. Keth Var belonged to the Draconian Empire, the most technologically advanced civilization in the known galaxy. His people had mastered faster-than-light travel when most species were still learning to harness fire. Their ships could fold space-time itself, creating corridors through dimensions that allowed them to cross vast distances in mere moments. For 3,000 years, they had been the undisputed masters of galactic politics and military might. "The spatial distortions are unprecedented," announced Dr. Zilthex, a floating gas-based entity whose translucent body pulsed with different colors as she spoke. Her species, the Ethereals, were renowned throughout the galaxy for their scientific expertise and ability to perceive energy patterns invisible to most other life forms. "We've detected gravitational waves emanating from the galactic edge that suggest something massive is approaching our space." Ambassador Grax Tool, representing the insectoid hive collective, chittered nervously. His 6 arms gestured rapidly as he spoke through specialized breathing apertures that created musical tones. "Our deep space monitoring stations have gone silent one by one. 12 systems have lost all communication in the past standard week. Whatever is causing these distortions is moving toward the galactic core." The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs and alien exclamations. Some species released pheromones that indicated fear, while others began rapid mathematical calculations on holographic displays that materialized around their seating areas. The crystalline entities, beings made of living mineral formations, changed their internal light patterns to communicate distress to one another across the room. Admiral Keth Var raised one clawed hand for silence. Despite the diversity of species present, all recognized the authority in that gesture. The Draconian Empire had maintained galactic peace for centuries, their military prowess unquestioned by any civilization that valued its continued existence. "We have deployed our most advanced reconnaissance vessels to investigate these anomalies," Keth Var announced, his voice carrying the weight of absolute confidence. "The Imperial Fleet's sensors can detect objects across dimensional barriers and through temporal distortions. Whatever is causing these phenomena will be identified and addressed according to standard protocols." As if summoned by his words, a junior Draconian officer burst into the chamber. The young reptilian scales were pale with excitement or fear, and his breathing was rapid despite the controlled environment of the station. He approached Admiral Keth Var and whispered something in their native language that caused the Admiral's golden eyes to widen perceptibly. "Impossible," Keth Var said aloud, momentarily forgetting to maintain his composed demeanor. The chamber fell silent. If something could shake the confidence of a Draconian admiral, it represented a threat unlike anything the galaxy had faced in recorded history. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves leaning forward with shared concern, their differences temporarily forgotten in the face of unknown danger. "What is it?" asked Chancellor Vex 9, the cybernetic leader of the machine consensus. His artificial body was a marvel of technological integration, combining organic neural tissue with quantum processors that could calculate hyperspace trajectories in real time. "Our networks are detecting unusual quantum fluctuations, but nothing that should cause such alarm." Admiral Keth Var activated the chamber's main holographic display. 3-dimensional star maps filled the space above the assembled delegates, showing the galaxy in stunning detail. Red indicators marked the locations of lost communication stations, creating a pattern that pointed unmistakably toward the galactic core, where most civilizations maintained their homeworlds. "Our long-range sensors have detected an object approaching from extragalactic space," Keth Var began, his voice carefully controlled. "Initial readings suggest it measures approximately 800 kilometers in length, with energy output exceeding anything in our technological databases." The silence that followed was profound. Even the Ethereals stopped their constant color shifting, creating an eerie stillness in their transparent forms. 800 kilometers would make this object larger than most moons, yet it was apparently traveling through space under its own power. "Sensor error," declared Commander Blickstone of the warrior clans, his fur-covered face twisted in disbelief. Nothing that large could maintain structural integrity during faster-than-light travel. The gravitational stresses alone would tear any known material apart. That was my initial assumption, Admiral Kethvar replied grimly. However, multiple independent sensor arrays have confirmed these readings. More disturbing still, the object appears to be using propulsion systems that operate on principles unknown to our science. It is not folding spacetime, nor is it using conventional fusion or antimatter drives. The energy signatures are unlike anything we have encountered. Dr. Zilthex's gaseous form began rapidly cycling through colors that indicated deep analytical thought. If the measurements are accurate, the power requirements for moving an object of that mass would necessitate harnessing the energy output of an entire star. No civilization we know of has achieved such capabilities. Could it be a natural phenomenon? Suggested Ambassador Thrine Kell of the Aquatic Federations, her gill slits fluttering with nervous energy. Perhaps some kind of space-dwelling organism or a rogue planet with unusual properties. Before anyone could respond, every communication device in the chamber activated simultaneously. A clear, calm voice spoke in perfect galactic standard, the universal language developed by the Draconian Empire for interspecies communication. This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United Earthship Leviathan, representing the Terran Defense Coalition. We have been monitoring your emergency communications and wish to offer our assistance in addressing the current crisis threatening galactic stability. The chamber erupted in confusion. Earth was known to the galactic community, but only as a primitive world on the outer rim where a young species called humans had recently developed basic faster-than-light capabilities. Their technology was considered crude by galactic standards, their ships small and their weapons based on kinetic projectiles rather than advanced energy systems. Humans? Admiral Kethvar said aloud, unable to hide his bewilderment. How did they detect our communications from such a distance? Their technology should not be capable of monitoring transmissions across galactic sectors. Captain Rodriguez's voice remained steady and professional. Admiral, I understand your confusion. Perhaps it would be better if we spoke in person. I'm requesting permission to dock with Kepler Station so that we might discuss the situation facing our galaxy. Your vessels are too primitive for a journey of this distance, interjected Commander Blickstone dismissively. Even our fastest ships require several standard days to reach this location from the Outer Rim territories. Commander, with respect, I believe there may be some outdated information in your databases regarding human capabilities. We have been monitoring this situation for some time and have traveled here specifically to offer our assistance. The chamber's external sensors suddenly activated, projecting images of the space surrounding Kepler Station onto the main holographic display. What they showed defied all logical explanation and sent waves of shock through the assembled delegates. Floating in space beyond the station was a ship that dwarfed everything around it. The massive vessel appeared to be constructed from materials that seemed to absorb and redirect light, giving it an almost ethereal quality. Its hull was sleek and organic-looking, as if grown rather than built, and energy patterns danced across its surface in hypnotic waves of blue and silver. That is impossible, Dr. Zilthex whispered, her gaseous form now cycling rapidly through colors that indicated complete bewilderment. Our sensors show no ship in that location, yet we can see it with our own visual receptors. The vessel appears to exist in a state of dimensional flux, reported the station's AI system in its emotionless synthetic voice. It is simultaneously present and absent from normal space-time, suggesting technology that operates beyond our current understanding of physics. Admiral Kethvar stared at the display, his reptilian features frozen in disbelief. The human ship was not just large. It was larger than the mysterious object they had detected approaching from extragalactic space. Moreover, it had appeared without any sensor warning, as if materializing from nothing. Captain Rodriguez, Kethvar said carefully, how long has your vessel been in this location? We arrived approximately 6 minutes ago, Admiral. We apologize for not announcing our presence sooner, but we wanted to assess the situation before making contact. The quantum stealth systems can be unsettling for species unfamiliar with dimensional phase technology. Quantum stealth systems, dimensional phase technology. These were theoretical concepts that even the most advanced draconian scientists had only begun to explore. Yet here was a human speaking of them as if they were common shipboard equipment. Permission granted for docking, Admiral Kethvar said finally, though his voice carried undertones of uncertainty that were highly unusual for a draconian military commander. Docking Bay 7 can accommodate vessels up to 100 meters in length. Thank you, Admiral, but that won't be necessary. I'll transport directly to the station if that's acceptable. Transport. The word hung in the air like a challenge to everything the assembled species thought they knew about the universe. Personal transportation technology, the ability to disassemble and reconstruct matter at the quantum level, was purely theoretical even for the most advanced civilizations. Column of golden light suddenly appeared in the center of the chamber. The light swirled and coalesced, reorganizing itself into the form of a human female wearing a simple dark blue uniform. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood before them, apparently none the worse for having been converted to energy and back to matter. She was smaller than most species in the chamber, with the typical mammalian features of her kind: brown hair, dark eyes, and pale skin. But there was something in her bearing that suggested capabilities far beyond what her physical appearance might indicate. She carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen wonders beyond imagination and faced dangers that would break lesser beings. Honored delegates, Captain Rodriguez said, inclining her head respectfully to the assembly. I bring greetings from Earth and an offer of alliance in the face of the threat currently approaching our galaxy. The awakening protocol, the HFY. Silence in the chamber was so complete that the subtle hum of Kepler Station's life support system seemed overwhelming. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood calmly in the center of the assembly, apparently unaffected by the hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and other sensory organs focused upon her with mixtures of fear, curiosity, and disbelief. Admiral Kethvar was the first to recover his composure. Captain Rodriguez, your arrival has raised questions that challenge our understanding of human technological capabilities. Our last intelligence reports indicated that your species had only recently achieved basic faster-than-light travel. Rodriguez smiled, an expression that seemed both reassuring and somehow predatory. Admiral, those reports were accurate as far as they went. However, they only reflected what humanity chose to reveal to the galactic community. We have been selectively transparent about our true capabilities. Selectively transparent, repeated Dr. Zilthex, her gaseous form now pulsing with colors that indicated intense analytical focus. Are you suggesting that humanity has been deliberately concealing advanced technology from the rest of the galaxy? Not concealing, Doctor, preparing. Rodriguez activated a small device on her wrist, and suddenly the chamber's holographic displays came alive with images and data that made even the most advanced alien technologies seem primitive by comparison. 200 years ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected something that changed the course of human development forever. The displays showed vast regions of empty space beyond the galactic rim, but as the image enhanced and filtered through spectrums invisible to most organic eyes, shapes began to emerge from the darkness. They were massive, organic-looking structures that seemed to feed on the fabric of spacetime itself, leaving behind voids where not even quantum foam remained. We call them the void swarm, Rodriguez continued, her voice taking on a grimmer tone. They are not native to our galaxy, nor to any galaxy we have been able to observe. They exist in the spaces between realities, consuming matter, energy, and dimensional stability itself. According to our calculations, they have already devoured at least 17 galaxies in this cluster. The chamber erupted in alarmed sounds and communications as species-specific fear responses activated throughout the assembly. The crystalline entities dimmed to almost nothing, while the warrior clans began releasing combat pheromones that triggered defensive reactions in nearby species. Impossible, declared Commander Blickstone, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Our deep space sensors would have detected such entities long before any human technology could have done so. Commander, you are detecting them now, Rodriguez replied, gesturing toward the displays. The spatial distortions and communication blackouts you've been experiencing are advanced scouts of the main swarm. They create rifts and dimensional barriers that allow the primary force to enter normal spacetime. Ambassador Graxtoll's 6 arms moved in agitated patterns as he spoke. If what you claim is true, Why did humanity not share this information with the galactic community? We could have prepared joint defenses, pooled our scientific resources, because, Ambassador, humanity realized something that no other species had considered. Conventional technology, no matter how advanced, cannot fight an enemy that exists partially outside normal reality. Rodriguez's expression grew serious. The Void Swarm has consumed civilizations far more advanced than any of us. They have faced and destroyed species with technology that could reshape entire star systems. Traditional weapons and defenses are useless against them. Dr. Zilthex's form began cycling through colors rapidly. Then how do you propose to fight such entities? By becoming something they have never encountered before, Rodriguez replied. For 2 centuries, humanity has been developing technology that operates on principles fundamentally different from anything else in the known galaxy. We have learned to manipulate the boundaries between dimensions, to exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously. She gestured toward the chamber's external displays, where the massive human ship still hung in space like a sleeping Leviathan. The UES Leviathan is not just a warship, delegates. It is a dimensional nexus point, capable of creating stable rifts in the fabric of space-time itself. Its weapons do not fire energy or projectiles. They alter the fundamental constants of reality within targeted areas. The implications of her words sent waves of shock through the assembly. Technology that could alter reality itself was beyond the theoretical frameworks of even the most advanced galactic civilizations. You are claiming that humanity has developed godlike powers, Admiral Kethvar said slowly. That is a significant claim requiring significant proof. Admiral, I understand your skepticism. Perhaps a demonstration would be appropriate. Rodriguez touched her wrist device again, and every screen in the chamber switched to external sensor feeds. In the space around Kepler Station, reality began to bend. The star field visible through the station's transparent section started to shift and warp, as if viewed through moving water. Then, impossibly, a second Kepler station began to materialize alongside the first, an exact duplicate down to the smallest structural detail. Dimensional overlay technology, Rodriguez explained calmly as the assembled delegates stared in stunned silence. We have created a parallel version of this station existing in adjacent dimensional space. Both are equally real, equally functional, but occupy the same physical coordinates through quantum phase manipulation. The duplicate station began to fade, reality reasserting its normal configuration. But the demonstration had achieved its intended effect. Every species in the chamber now understood that humanity possessed capabilities that transcended their previous understanding of what was possible. Why reveal this now? Asked Chancellor Vex 9, his cybernetic processors whirring audibly as they attempted to analyze the implications. What has changed? The main body of the Void Swarm has begun moving toward this galaxy, Rodriguez replied gravely. Our long-range dimensional sensors indicate they will reach the outer rim systems within 6 standard months. When they arrive, they will face defenses unlike anything they have encountered in their consumption of other galaxies. She activated another display showing tactical formations of human ships, hundreds of vessels similar to the Leviathan, arranged in patterns that seem to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Terran Defense Coalition has prepared for this moment for 2 centuries. We have ships that can phase between realities to avoid enemy attacks, weapons that can collapse dimensional barriers to trap the swarm between states of existence, and defensive systems that can create stable pockets of normal spacetime, even within areas of dimensional instability. You intend to fight them alone? Dr. Zilthex asked, her colors now showing a mixture of admiration and concern. No, Doctor. Humanity alone cannot defeat an enemy that has consumed entire galactic clusters, but humanity can provide the technological foundation for a defense unlike anything the Void Swarm has encountered. We propose the formation of an integrated galactic defense network, combining our dimensional manipulation technology with the industrial capacity and tactical knowledge of every willing civilization. The chamber buzzed with rapid communications, as species representatives consulted with their home governments and military commands. The prospect of alliance with a species they had considered primitive was difficult to accept, but the alternative, Facing an existential threat with conventional weapons against an enemy that had already proven such weapons useless was far worse. Admiral Kethvar stood slowly, his golden eyes reflecting the weight of the decision he was about to make. Captain Rodriguez, on behalf of the Draconian Empire, I accept your proposal for alliance. Our fleets will integrate with your defensive network under unified command structure. One by one, the other species representatives stood and voiced their acceptance. The ethereals offered their scientific expertise in energy manipulation. The crystalline entities provided mineral resources needed for dimensional technology production. The machine consensus contributed their computational power for tactical coordination. Even the usually isolationist aquatic federations agreed to commit their mobile deep space platforms. Then it is decided, Rodriguez said, though her expression remained serious. The integration process will begin immediately. Humanity will share our dimensional technology with all alliance members, and we will establish joint training programs for the new tactical doctrines required to fight the Void Swarm. As the delegates began filing out to begin the monumental task of preparing their civilizations for a war, unlike any in galactic history, Admiral Kethvar approached Captain Rodriguez. Captain, I must ask, how did humanity develop such advanced technology in only 2 centuries? The theoretical breakthroughs alone should have required millennia of research. Rodriguez looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent walls, her expression thoughtful. Admiral, when a species faces absolute extinction, it discovers capabilities it never knew it possessed. Humanity looked into the void that was coming for us all, and we refused to accept that extinction was inevitable. Sometimes, determination and necessity can accomplish what centuries of careful research cannot. She turned back to face him, and Admiral Kethvar saw in her eyes something that would have been familiar to any human who had lived through the species' long history of overcoming impossible odds, an absolute refusal to surrender in the face of overwhelming danger. The galaxy is about to learn something that humanity discovered long ago, Admiral. There is no enemy so powerful that it cannot be defeated by beings who refuse to accept defeat. The Void Swarm has never faced a united galaxy protected by those who see extinction not as inevitable but as unacceptable. As Captain Rodriguez transported back to her massive ship, leaving only a brief shimmer of golden light, the assembled delegates began to understand that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. Humanity had emerged not as conquerors, but as protectors, bringing with them technologies and philosophies that would either save civilization or transform it beyond recognition. The age of conventional warfare was ending. The age of dimensional conflict was about to begin. And at the center of it all stood humanity, the species that had looked into the abyss of extinction and chosen to become something the darkness had never encountered before, the guardians of light in a universe under siege.
First strike. The stars vanished first. One by one, they winked out as massive shapes eclipsed them, until a quarter of Earth's night sky had gone dark. Rear Admiral Sarah Chen watched the sensor readings from the bridge of the U.S. Artemis, Earth's most closely guarded secret. After 15 years of preparation, humanity's moment of truth had arrived. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station, his voice steady despite the tension. Approximately 3,000 vessels, varying in size from frigate to dreadnought class. Energy readings are off the charts, Admiral. Chen nodded, her expression unchanged. The Artemis hung in high orbit above Earth's dark side, running silent. To the approaching Kraxan fleet, they would appear to be nothing more than orbital debris, thanks to their quantum phase cloaking technology. It had taken Earth's finest minds a decade to perfect it, along with the other surprises hidden within the Artemis's seemingly ordinary hull. Status of the planetary defense grid? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. They had drilled this scenario countless times. All stations report ready, Admiral. Commander Jackson replied from Tactical. Orbital platforms are powered down but primed. Ground-based installations are in standby mode. Civilian populations have been evacuated to the shelter networks. The massive shapes resolved themselves into ships as they approached, sleek, predatory vessels that resembled nothing so much as chrome arrows, their hulls adorned with pulsing lines of violet energy. The Kraxan Empire had finally decided to add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. Incoming transmission, Rodriguez announced. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's hear what they have to say, Chen ordered, settling back in her command chair. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a towering figure with iridescent scales and 4 arms. High Admiral Vectora of the Kraxan Empire stood before a command center that seemed to be composed entirely of flowing energy patterns. People of Earth, the alien's voice boomed, translated automatically by their systems. Your primitive world has been chosen to join the glorious Kraxan Empire. Your technology is primitive, your defense is laughable. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and we will reduce your cities to ash. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Kraxan Empire had conquered dozens of worlds with the same approach. Show up with overwhelming force, make grandiose threats, and accept their immediate surrender. They had never faced a species that had spent years preparing specifically for their arrival. No response from any Earth government, Rodriguez reported after a moment. Just as planned. Good, Chen nodded. Let them think we're cowering in fear. Status of the quantum phase drive. Operating at optimal efficiency. Chief Engineer Dr. Paddle reported from engineering. Ready to execute on your command. The Kraxan ships spread out in a standard conquest formation, preparing to demonstrate their power by destroying a few major cities. They had no way of knowing that every building in those cities was actually a sophisticated hologram, the real structures having been relocated underground months ago. Multiple weapons signatures, Jackson warned. They're targeting New York, London, and Tokyo. Chen leaned forward, her heart racing despite her calm exterior. Everything hinged on this moment. Years of preparation, countless resources, and humanity's future among the stars. Let them fire the first shot, she ordered. Then we show them exactly how primitive we are. The Kraxan ships opened fire, their energy weapons lancing down toward Earth's surface. The beams struck their targets, and massive explosions bloomed. To the Kraxan sensors, it would appear they had just destroyed 3 of Earth's largest cities. Enemy vessels are powering down weapons, Rodriguez reported. They're preparing to broadcast again. Vectora's face appeared once more, his expression smug. You see the futility of resistance. Your primitive defenses could not even slow our weapons. Surrender now, and we will spare your remaining cities. Chen stood, straightening her uniform. Lieutenant Rodriguez, open a channel to the Kraxan flagship. Full spectrum, maximum clarity. Let's give them a good look at us. The view screen split, showing Vectora on one side and Chen on the other. The Kraxan Admiral's eyes widened slightly at the sight of the clearly advanced bridge around her. High Admiral Vectora. Chen spoke clearly, her voice carrying the weight of authority. I am Rear Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We've been expecting you. What is this? Vectora demanded, his composure slipping. Our scans showed no vessels of this capability in your system. Your scans showed exactly what we wanted them to show, Chen replied. Just as your weapons hit exactly what we wanted them to hit. Those cities you think you destroyed. Nothing but light and energy. The real cities are quite safe. Vectora's scales rippled with anger. Impossible. No primitive race could possess such technology. That's your first mistake, Chen said, allowing herself another small smile. Assuming we're primitive just because we chose not to announce our advances to the galaxy. Computer, disengage quantum phase cloak. The Artemis shimmered into full visibility, its true form revealed. The vessel's hull was a masterpiece of human engineering, covered in overlapping plates of dark metal that seemed to drink in light. Patterns of blue energy pulsed along its length, and weapon ports dotted its surface in precise geometric patterns. Your second mistake, Chen continued, was assuming we wouldn't be ready for you. We've known about the Kraxan Empire for decades. Every world you conquered, every species you subjugated. We watched, We learned, and we prepared. You dare to challenge the might of the Kraxan Empire? Vectora snarled. One ship against our armada. This is suicide. Is it? Chen asked. Commander Jackson, activate the orbital defense grid. Full power. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of seemingly defunct satellites and pieces of space debris transformed. Weapon platforms emerged from their disguised states, forming an interlocking network of defense systems that had been hidden in plain sight for years. Last chance, High Admiral, Chen offered. Withdraw your forces and never return. The alternative will be unpleasant. Vectora's response was predictable. All ships, destroy that vessel and their pathetic defenses. Show them the true power of the Kraxan Empire. They never learn. Chen sighed, returning to her command chair. All hands, battle stations. Dr. Patel, bring the quantum phase drive to full power. Commander Jackson, target their command and control vessels. Lieutenant Rodriguez, signal the defense grid to begin synchronized firing patterns. As the Kraxan fleet moved to attack, they failed to notice something crucial. The Artemis wasn't just one ship. It was humanity's prototype, and they had learned from every test, every failure, every breakthrough. Hidden throughout the solar system, more ships were powering up, their quantum phase cloaks dropping to reveal an Earth fleet that had been preparing for this moment for years. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the Kraxan Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating primitive species. Weapons free, Chen ordered, her voice carrying the determination of all humanity. Let's show them what Earth can do. Hidden strength. The void of space erupted in a symphony of light and energy as the Kraxan fleet opened fire. Thousands of plasma beams converged on the Artemis position, enough firepower to reduce a small moon to atoms. High Admiral Vectora watched with satisfaction, certain that no single vessel could withstand such an onslaught. But the Artemis wasn't there anymore. Target Alpha Squadron eliminated. Commander Jackson reported calmly as the Artemis reappeared behind a Kraxan's front line. The quantum phase drive had shifted them through subspace faster than light itself, leaving only empty space where the enemy's weapons had struck. Multiple confirmed hits. Tactical Officer Lieutenant Park added. Their shield harmonics are destabilizing exactly as predicted. Admiral Chen nodded, watching the tactical display as it tracked the movements of both fleets. The Kraxan ships were formidable, their technology refined through centuries of conquest. But they had grown complacent, relying on overwhelming force rather than tactical innovation. Signal the Hyperion and Orion battle groups, Chen ordered. Execute attack pattern Delta 7. From the outer edges of the solar system, 2 more Earth fleets dropped their quantum phase cloaks. They had been positioned near Jupiter and Saturn, using the gas giants' electromagnetic fields to further mask their presence. Now they moved with precision that spoke of countless hours of drilling, their formations perfectly synchronized. What sorcery is this? Vectora demanded, his image appearing on the bridge's main screen again. You cannot have built such a fleet in secret. We didn't build it in secret, Chen replied, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction. We built it in plain sight. Those cargo ships hauling ore from the asteroid belt, construction vessels, those research stations around Jupiter, shipyards. We knew you were watching, so we made sure you saw exactly what you expected to see. The Kraxan fleet's formation began to break as they tried to respond to attacks from 3 directions. Their ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, but Earth's vessels moved with uncanny coordination. The quantum phase drives let them appear and disappear at will, striking from unexpected angles before vanishing again. Status of Operation Honeypot, Chen asked, turning to her science officer, Dr. Sarah Martinez. The quantum entanglement network is gathering data at an exponential rate. Martins reported, her fingers dancing across her console. Every shot they fire, every shield frequency they use, it's all being analyzed and distributed to the fleet. Our predictive algorithms are already at 78% accuracy. This was humanity's true advantage. While the Kraxan Empire had been perfecting their weapons, Earth had focused on information warfare. Every Earth vessel carried quantum computers that could analyze enemy tactics in real time, sharing data through an untraceable network of entangled particles. They're adapting their shield frequencies, Jackson warned. Effectiveness of our weapons is dropping. As expected, Chen replied. Dr. Patel, initiate Phase 2 of the quantum resonance cascade. In engineering, Dr. Patel and his team had been waiting for this moment. The quantum phase drive wasn't just for movement. It could also generate fields that affected the fundamental forces of reality itself. Quantum resonance cascade initiating, Patel confirmed. Field strength at 30% and rising. Time to full saturation. 3 minutes. The space around the Earth fleet began to shimmer with subtle distortions as the quantum fields took effect. The Kraxan's energy weapons started behaving erratically, their carefully calibrated plasma beams twisting in impossible ways. "What have you done?" Vectora demanded, real fear creeping into his voice for the first time. "Our weapons are being affected at the quantum level," Chen finished for him. "You see, High Admiral, while you were conquering peaceful worlds, we were studying the fundamental nature of reality itself. Your weapons are impressive, but they still operate according to physical laws, laws that we've learned to bend." The battle continued to unfold across the solar system. The Kraxan fleet's superior numbers meant they could still cause significant damage, but their technological advantage was rapidly eroding. Earth's quantum resonance fields were creating zones where their advanced weapons actually became a liability, their enormous power turning against them in unpredictable ways. Multiple Kraxan vessels attempting to retreat, Rodriguez reported. "They're trying to open hyperspace windows. Initiate Operation Lockdown," Chen ordered. "Let's show them another surprise." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations on various moons and asteroids activated. They generated overlapping fields of quantum interference, turning the space around Earth into a maze of subspace distortions. The Kraxan's hyperspace drives, designed to punch through normal spacetime, found themselves unable to establish stable corridors. "They're trapped," Jackson confirmed with grim satisfaction. No hyperspace signatures detected. Vectora's image appeared again, his scales now pale with rage and fear. "This is impossible. You're violating laws of physics that have been understood for millennia." "No," Chen corrected him. "We're operating according to laws of physics that you never bothered to discover. You became so convinced of your own superiority that you stopped looking for new possibilities. Humanity never stopped looking, never stopped questioning, never stopped pushing boundaries." The battle had reached a critical phase. The Kraxan fleet's formation had completely broken down, their ships clustering together defensively as Earth's forces continued their coordinated assault. The quantum resonance cascade was now at full strength, creating zones in space where their mighty weapons were worse than useless. "Admiral," Martinez called out, excitement in her voice. "The quantum entanglement network has achieved 95% predictive accuracy. We can anticipate their tactical decisions before they make them." Chen stood from her command chair, her expression resolute. "Signal all Earth forces. Execute Operation Endgame. Let's finish this." The Earth fleet moved as one, their formation shifting into new patterns that seemed to make no tactical sense until the quantum fields aligned. Suddenly, the space around the Kraxan fleet became a trap of their own making. Every evasive maneuver they made was predicted and countered. Every weapon they fired was turned aside or reflected back at them. "One last chance, High Admiral," Chen offered. "Surrender your forces. You've lost your technological advantage, your tactical superiority, and any hope of escape. Don't force us to demonstrate just how much more we've been holding back." The bridge fell silent as they waited for Vectora's response. The future of Earth's relationship with the wider galaxy hung in the balance. Would the Kraxan Empire accept defeat gracefully, or would pride drive them to fight to the bitter end? The answer would determine not just the outcome of this battle, but humanity's first steps into a larger universe, steps they had spent decades preparing to take, hidden in plain sight, while the galaxy's greatest empire underestimated them one final time. Counterattack. High Admiral Vectora's response came not in words, but in actions. The trapped Kraxan fleet suddenly split apart, individual ships accelerating in seemingly random directions. Their energy signatures fluctuated wildly, creating a chaotic pattern that disrupted Earth's quantum entanglement predictions. Clever, Admiral Chen muttered, studying the tactical display. They're using their ship's power cores to generate interference. Dr. Martinez, status of the prediction network. Accuracy dropping rapidly. Martins reported, her fingers flying over her console. Down to 67% and falling. They're sacrificing their shield strength to create quantum static. The Kraxan Empire hadn't conquered 1,000 worlds through brute force alone. They were adapting, learning, and they still outnumbered Earth's forces significantly. Several Earth vessels disappeared in brilliant explosions as Kraxan weapons found their marks through the chaos. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega, Chen ordered. Dr. Patel, prepare for synchronized quantum jumps on my mark. The Earth fleet began to break apart, matching the Kraxan's apparent chaos with carefully calculated precision. Each ship's quantum phase drive was calibrated to a different frequency, creating a complex web of phase-space distortions that even their own predictive systems couldn't fully track. Admiral. Commander Jackson called out, "We're detecting power buildups in the enemy fleet. They're linking their ships together somehow." The tactical display showed it clearly now. The scattered Kraxan vessels were forming into smaller battle groups, their energy fields merging and synchronizing. What had seemed like desperate chaos was actually a coordinated reorganization. Full analysis, Chen demanded, leaning forward in her chair. "They're creating localized reality bubbles," Martins explained, her voice tight with concern. "By linking their ship's power cores, they can generate fields that negate our quantum interference. They're adapting faster than we anticipated." Vectora's image appeared on the main screen again, his scales now glowing with an inner light that spoke of barely contained energy. "Did you think we would be so easily defeated, Admiral Chen? The Kraxan Empire has faced many clever species before. None survive." The linked Kraxan battle groups began to move with new purpose, their combined energy fields burning through the quantum resonance cascade like fire through fog. Several more Earth ships vanished in apocalyptic explosions as the enemy's superior firepower reasserted itself. But Chen smiled. "Thank you, High Admiral," she said calmly. "You've just shown us exactly what we needed to see. Initiate Operation Shadowplay." Throughout the solar system, automated probes that had been lying dormant on asteroids and minor moons suddenly activated. They began broadcasting precise frequencies that matched the Kraxan ship's power signatures, creating a hall of mirrors effect in sensor space. Multiple quantum signature echoes detected, Rodriguez reported. The enemy fleet is showing signs of confusion. Their targeting systems are trying to compensate. The linked Kraxan battle groups found themselves firing at phantom targets as their sensors struggled to distinguish real ships from the growing cloud of false signatures. The more power they poured into their weapons, the more energy the probes had to work with, creating even more convincing echoes. "They're attempting to rewrite their targeting algorithms," Martinez observed. "Quantum entanglement network is adapting. Prediction accuracy stabilizing at 82%. Chen nodded, watching the battle unfold with calculated patience. Now they have to choose: maintain their linked defenses against our quantum interference, or break apart to better track our ships. Either way, they lose their advantage. Commander Jackson, prepare all ships for synchronized strike on my mark." The space around Earth had become a quantum battlefield, unlike anything in known history. The Kraxan's linked battle groups moved like islands of stable space in a sea of physics gone mad, while Earth's vessels danced through quantum phases, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Admiral. Patel's voice came from engineering, excitement barely contained. The data from their linked power cores. I think we can use it. Their synchronization method, it's based on principles similar to our quantum entanglement network. If we reverse the polarity. Do it, Chen ordered without hesitation. In this kind of battle, any advantage could be decisive. The Artemis's quantum phase drive began to pulse with a new rhythm, its fields reaching out to touch the nearest Kraxan battle group. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the enemy ship's carefully synchronized energy fields began to waver. It's working, Martins reported. Their power synchronization is destabilizing. The effect is spreading through their linked networks. Vectora's image appeared again, but this time his transmission was distorted, breaking apart with static. What are you doing? This is impossible. You linked your ships together to counter our quantum interference, Chen explained, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction. But in doing so, you made yourselves vulnerable to a more subtle attack. Your ships are now quantum entangled with ours. Every adjustment you make to counter us creates new vulnerabilities we can exploit. The Kraxan battle groups began to break apart as their linked power cores started working against each other. Ships that had been moving in perfect synchronization suddenly found themselves pulling in different directions as their reality bubbles collapsed. All Earth forces, Chen broadcast to the fleet. Execute synchronized strike pattern Delta 9. Target their command and control nodes while they're disconnected. The Earth fleet moved as one, quantum phase drives activating in a carefully orchestrated sequence. They appeared inside the Kraxan's broken formations, their weapons striking with surgical precision at the weak points revealed by the collapsing power links. But even a wounded Kraxan fleet was incredibly dangerous. As their sophisticated defenses failed, they fell back on raw firepower, filling space with enough energy to vaporize continents. Earth vessels continued to fall, their crews fighting with desperate courage to protect their homeworld. Status of Operation Shadowplay? Chen asked, gripping her chair as the Artemis shuddered under a near miss. Probe network at 94% efficiency, Martins replied. Enemy targeting accuracy down to 31%. But Admiral, we're detecting unusual power signatures from their flagship. They're planning something big. The battle had reached a critical point. Earth's superior tactics and preparation had nullified many of the Kraxan's advantages, but Vectora still commanded an enormous fleet. The question now was, what would a proud empire do when faced with the possibility of actual defeat? The answer, they were about to discover, would push both sides to their absolute limits. Breaking point. The Kraxan flagship's power signature continued to build, reaching levels that threatened to overwhelm the Artemis's sensors. Energy coursed through its hull in waves of blinding violet light, and smaller vessels began to move away from it, as if fleeing something inevitable. Analysis, Chen demanded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. They're channeling power from their entire remaining fleet, Martins reported, her voice tense. Some kind of quantum cascade effect. Admiral, these readings are off the scale. They're going to trigger a controlled quantum detonation. Controlled? Jackson asked sharply. Relatively speaking, the blast radius would encompass most of the inner solar system. They'd mean to take Earth with them. Chen's expression hardened. The Kraxan Empire's pride had finally broken, driving them to unthinkable extremes. How long? 3 minutes to critical mass. We could retreat beyond the blast radius. But Earth is not an option, Chen finished. She opened a channel to engineering. Dr. Patel, we need options. Now. The engineer's voice came back immediately, sharp with focus. The quantum resonance cascade won't stop something of that magnitude. But there might be another way. Remember the theoretical work on quantum state transference? The research that led to the phase drive? That was never completed. Because we couldn't control the transfer of that much energy, Patel agreed. But with the entire fleet's quantum network linked, and the probes from Operation Shadow Play still active. Chen understood immediately. We could create a system-wide quantum circuit, transfer the energy somewhere else. Jupiter, Martinez cut in. Its magnetic field could handle the input. But Admiral, we'd need every ship perfectly synchronized, including the Kraxan vessels we've entangled with. One misalignment would tear reality apart at the seams. Chen finished. Better than letting Earth be destroyed. Signal all ships. Begin emergency quantum synchronization. And get me Vectora. The Kraxan Admiral's image appeared, his scales now glowing so brightly they were painful to look at. Come to beg for mercy, Admiral Chen. No, Chen replied calmly. I've come to offer you one last chance to prove the Kraxan Empire deserves its reputation. Your quantum detonation will destroy Earth, yes, but it will also destroy something far more valuable, the most advanced quantum technology ever developed. Technology that could revolutionize space travel, energy production, even reality itself. Vectora's multiple eyes narrowed. You expect us to believe you would share such technology with us. After this battle, I expect you to make a choice between pride and progress. Your empire didn't become great by destroying potential assets, and right now your ships are quantum entangled with ours. You're part of the most sophisticated quantum network ever created. You must be seeing the possibilities. Around them, the battle had grown still. Every ship, Earth and Kraxan alike, hung in space as the flagship's power buildup approached critical levels. The fate of two civilizations balanced on a knife's edge. The quantum cascade cannot be stopped, Vectora said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. The process has gone too far. It can be redirected, Chen countered. Your scientists must see it in the data we're sharing through the entanglement. Help us channel the energy into Jupiter's magnetosphere. Save both our civilizations, and together we can explore possibilities neither of us imagined. For a long moment, Vectora was silent. The quantum cascade continued to build, reality itself beginning to warp around the Kraxan flagship. When he spoke again, his voice held something new. Respect. You understand what you're proposing. If the quantum synchronization fails, then we die together, and the galaxy loses something precious. Your move, High Admiral. The next 30 seconds were the longest of Chen's life. Warning signals blared as the quantum cascade approached critical mass. Every instrument on the Artemis screamed warnings about the imminent breakdown of spacetime itself. Then Vectora nodded. Release control of your quantum network. We will assist. Chen didn't hesitate. Dr. Patel, initiate emergency protocols. Transfer control of the quantum entanglement network to the Kraxan flagship. Martinez, begin calculating the transfer vectors to Jupiter. Jackson, coordinate with all Earth vessels for emergency quantum synchronization. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as human and Kraxan technology merged into something entirely new. The quantum cascade's energy, rather than collapsing into a devastating explosion, began to flow through the improvised network of entangled ships. Energy transfer beginning, Martins reported. Quantum synchronization at 89% and holding. Jupiter's magnetosphere is responding. It's working. A new sun seemed to bloom in space as Jupiter's entire magnetic field lit up with transferred energy. Aurora-like patterns danced across half the solar system as the gas giant absorbed power that could have destroyed Earth. The combined fleets, now working as one vast quantum machine, guided the process with unprecedented precision. But they weren't safe yet. The energy transfer was creating its own dangers, threatening to overwhelm the delicate quantum synchronization that made it possible. Every ship in both fleets shuddered as reality itself flexed around them. Synchronization failing in sectors 7 through 12, Jackson warned. We're losing containment. Reroute power from the phase drives, Chen ordered. Maintain the quantum links at all costs. We do this together, or not at all. The next few minutes would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of two civilizations that had been ready to destroy each other mere moments ago. As Jupiter's storms raged with impossible energies, the true test of both species' ingenuity and cooperation was about to begin. Victory dawn. Jupiter blazed like a newborn star, its massive magnetic field writhing with impossible energies as the combined Earth-Kraxan fleet struggled to contain the quantum cascade. Every ship in both fleets had become part of a vast quantum circuit, their systems straining to channel forces that could tear reality apart. Quantum synchronization at 84% and falling, Martins reported, her voice tight with tension. The magnetic containment fields are starting to break down. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display, where Jupiter's storms had taken on patterns never seen before in human history. The gas giant's entire atmosphere was alive with quantum energies, its magnetic field expanded to nearly twice its normal size. Status of the Kraxan vessels, she asked, keeping her voice steady for the crew. Their quantum links are holding, Jackson replied. Vector is coordinating their efforts well. But Admiral, these energy levels are still climbing. Jupiter's magnetosphere can't take much more. Chen opened a channel to the Kraxan flagship. Hi Admiral, we need to modify the containment field. Your ship's power cores are more advanced than ours. If we wrote the excess energy through them, it would burn out our entire fleet, Vectora finished. His scales dimmed with exhaustion. But you already knew that, didn't you? Just as we both know your quantum phase technology could safely disconnect from the circuit, leaving our ships to bear the brunt of the overload. That's not how Earth does things, Chen replied firmly. We either solve this together, or we fail together. Dr. Patel, what if we use the quantum resonance cascade in reverse? Create a damping field around Jupiter. Possible. Patel's voice came back, strained but thoughtful. But we'd need to modify the quantum frequency of every ship simultaneously. One mistake would collapse the entire circuit, Vectora cut in, destroying both fleets instantly. However, our scientists have been studying your quantum phase technology through the entanglement network. We believe there might be a way to combine our approaches. Chen leaned forward. I'm listening. Your phase drives allow you to shift through quantum states. Our power cores can generate stable reality bubbles. If we alternated them in a precise sequence, we could create a quantum vacuum, Martins exclaimed, her fingers flying over her console. A space where the laws of physics themselves are temporarily suspended. The excess energy would have nowhere to go but into subspace itself, Chen finished, bleeding it off harmlessly into higher dimensions. Can we calculate the precise sequence in time? Already working on it, Martins replied. The quantum entanglement network is giving us access to the Kraxan's full technical database. Their mathematical models combined with our quantum physics theories. Yes, we can do it. Chen shared a look with Vectora through the video link. In that moment, they weren't enemies anymore. Just two leaders trying to save their people from forces that could destroy them all. Your ships will need to modify their power core frequencies, Chen said. It will leave you vulnerable. And your vessels will have to drop their quantum phase protection to generate the vacuum, Vectora replied. We will all be vulnerable. Together. Chen nodded. All Earth vessels, prepare for emergency quantum reconfiguration. Coordinate with your nearest Kraxan ships. We do this as one fleet. Space itself seemed to twist as the combined fleet began its desperate maneuver. Earth ships dropped their phase protection, while Kraxan vessels modified their power cores, each pair working in perfect synchronization. The quantum vacuum began to form around Jupiter, a sphere of altered reality where normal physics held no sway. Energy levels dropping, Martins reported. The vacuum is working. Jupiter's magnetosphere is stabilizing. Quantum cascade is dissipating, Jackson added. The Kraxan flagship's core is returning to normal parameters. For several tense minutes, no one spoke as the crisis slowly passed. The quantum vacuum continued to draw off the excess energy, dispersing it harmlessly into subspace. Finally, Jupiter's glow began to fade, its storms returning to their natural patterns. "It's over," Martinez confirmed. "The quantum cascade has been fully contained. No permanent damage to Jupiter's atmosphere or magnetic field detected." Chen let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Status of the fleet. All Earth vessels reporting in," Jackson replied. "Some damage from the energy exposure, but nothing critical." "The Kraxan ships," he paused, checking his readings. "They're maintaining formation, but their power cores are heavily strained. They'll need time to recover." Vectora's image appeared again on the main screen. The proud admiral looked exhausted but thoughtful. "It seems we have both learned something today, Admiral Chen. About each other, and about the true meaning of strength." "Indeed," Chen agreed. "The question is, what do we do with that knowledge?" Vectora was silent for a moment. "The Kraxan Empire has stood for 10,000 years. In all that time, we have never encountered a species quite like humanity. You hid your true capabilities, yet when the moment came, you chose to save us rather than ensure your own survival." "Because that's what makes us strong," Chen replied. "Not our technology or our weapons, but our ability to see beyond conflict to greater possibilities. Your empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. Imagine what you could achieve if you worked with them instead." The Kraxan admiral's scales shifted colors, showing deep thought. Perhaps it is time for the empire to evolve. Your quantum phase technology, combined with our power core designs, the potential is enormous." "A partnership then," Chen suggested. "Earth doesn't want to be conquered, but we're more than willing to be allies. There's an entire galaxy out there, full of mysteries waiting to be solved. We could explore it together." Vectora's expression changed in a way Chen was beginning to recognize as a smile. "The Emperor will need convincing, but after today's demonstration, I believe even the most conservative elements of our society will have to acknowledge that the old ways are not always the best ways." As the two fleets began the process of disengaging their quantum links, Chen looked out at the stars. Humanity had faced its first major test as a spacefaring civilization and emerged not just victorious, but with the potential for something greater than victory. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "The crisis is over, and tell them to prepare for diplomatic talks. I have a feeling the galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place." Vectora nodded in agreement. "Indeed, Admiral Chen. Indeed. Though I must ask, how long have you really been preparing for this moment? How did you know we would come?" Chen smiled. "That, High Admiral, is a story for another day, preferably over whatever passes for drinks in the Kraxan Empire." As both fleets began repairs and preparations for a very different future than either had imagined, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had proven itself not just through force of arms, but through innovation, cooperation, and an unwavering determination to find a better way. The galaxy would never be the same, and that perhaps was the greatest victory of all.